3 simple morning habits that beat my procrastination in just 5 days. Procrastination is often misunderstood as a problem of laziness or lack of motivation, but in reality, it is a problem of self-management. Most people have the same 24 hours in a day, yet the results they achieve are vastly different. The difference is not time, but direction. When a person does not intentionally manage their thoughts, actions, and priorities, especially in the morning, the day begins to manage them. This loss of control creates confusion, delay, and avoidance, which we then label as procrastination. The morning sets the emotional and mental tone for the entire day. If the day begins without structure, the mind naturally drifts toward comfort, distraction, and easy choices. This is not weakness, it is human nature. The mind seeks safety and familiarity unless guided otherwise. Without a clear plan, energy is wasted deciding what to do instead of doing what matters. This is why people often feel busy yet unproductive. They are active but not intentional. Self-management means taking responsibility for how you think before you take responsibility for what you do. When mornings are reactive, checking messages, scrolling through information, responding to other people's demands, the mind becomes scattered. Focus is divided before any meaningful work begins. Over time, this pattern trains the brain to delay important tasks because it never experiences early progress or control. Procrastination then becomes a habit, not a choice. Understanding this shifts the solution. Instead of searching for motivation, the focus moves to structure. Instead of waiting for energy, the focus moves to discipline. A well-managed morning does not require complexity, it requires clarity. Knowing what matters most and committing to it early creates stability throughout the day. When actions are planned in advance, the mind is relieved of constant decision-making and resistance begins to fade. Self-management is also closely tied to self-respect. When individuals consistently break small promises to themselves, such as waking up on time or starting tasks when intended, they weaken their confidence. This erosion makes procrastination easier and discipline harder. However, when small commitments are honored daily, trust is rebuilt. Confidence grows not from grand achievements, but from consistent follow-through. By recognizing procrastination as a self-management issue, responsibility returns to the individual not as blame, but as empowerment. If the problem is not external, the solution is within reach. Managing mornings with intention allows focus to replace confusion, purpose to replace delay, and progress to replace regret. When self-management improves, procrastination no longer needs to be fought. It naturally fades as direction takes its place. Procrastination often begins with a quiet inner conversation that happens before any real work starts. This conversation sounds harmless, but it is where discipline weakens. The moment a person asks themselves how they feel about doing a task, they open the door to delay. Feelings are temporary, unpredictable, and easily influenced by comfort. When action depends on emotion, consistency disappears. This is why relying on motivation alone creates unstable results. Internal negotiation drains mental energy. Every time the mind debates whether to start, postpone, or avoid a task, it becomes fatigued before progress is even made. The brain was not designed to repeatedly decide what has already been decided. When people renegotiate their commitments each day, discipline turns into a daily struggle instead of a habit. Over time, this struggle conditions the mind to expect excuses rather than execution. Strengthening discipline requires a shift from emotional decision-making to principle-based action. Decisions made in advance are powerful because they eliminate choice in the moment of weakness. When a person decides the night before how their morning will begin, they remove uncertainty. The body may resist, but resistance loses strength when there is no option to negotiate. Action becomes automatic and discipline becomes simpler. This approach does not eliminate discomfort, it removes hesitation. Discipline is not about feeling good, it is about doing what is necessary regardless of mood. When individuals act based on commitment rather than comfort, They develop inner strength. Each time a decision is honored without debate, self-respect grows. The mind begins to associate action with reliability instead of resistance. Eliminating internal negotiation also builds momentum. When the first action of the day is completed without emotional argument, confidence increases. The mind learns that progress does not require perfect conditions. This creates a powerful shift. Tasks no longer feel overwhelming because the habit of starting has been strengthened. Starting, not finishing, is often the hardest part, and discipline makes starting easier. Over time, this practice rewires behavior. The brain adapts to certainty. When decisions are firm and consistent, procrastination loses its foundation. There is no longer space for excuses because the rule is clear. What has been decided must be done. This clarity simplifies life, reduces stress, and increases productivity. By removing negotiation from daily actions, discipline transforms from a struggle into a standard. Consistency replaces chaos, and progress becomes a natural outcome. When decisions lead and emotions follow, procrastination fades and purposeful action takes its place. Procrastination often feels overwhelming because people try to conquer the entire day at once. When the mind focuses on everything that needs to be done, pressure increases and action is delayed. The solution is not to do more, but to start smaller. Completing one meaningful task early in the day creates a psychological shift that changes how the rest of the day unfolds. A single small victory can influence focus, confidence, and motivation far more than people realize. The first win of the day sets the direction of thought. When a person begins the morning with distraction or passive consumption, the mind remains scattered and reactive. However, when the day starts with intentional action, the brain receives a clear signal of control. This sense of control reduces anxiety and resistance, making it easier to continue working. Progress, even in small amounts, creates emotional stability and mental clarity. Small wins build momentum because success creates energy. Contrary to popular belief, motivation does not always lead to action. Action often creates motivation. When a task is completed, the brain releases a sense of satisfaction that encourages further effort. This chain reaction turns productivity into a natural flow rather than a forced struggle. Procrastination weakens when momentum grows. Early victories also strengthen self-belief. Many people procrastinate not because they cannot do the work, but because they doubt their ability to sustain effort. By completing a manageable task first thing in the morning, individuals prove to themselves that they can follow through. This reinforces confidence and reduces fear of larger responsibilities. Confidence built through action is more powerful than confidence built through positive thinking alone. Choosing the right first task is important. It should be intentional, not trivial, but also not overwhelming. The goal is not perfection, the goal is progress. This task acts as a foundation, reminding the mind that progress is possible and within reach. Over time, these small wins compound, turning consistency into a habit and effort into discipline. Momentum is fragile early in the day, but powerful once established. When people delay starting, momentum never forms, and procrastination fills the gap. When they begin with purpose, the day begins to cooperate. Each completed task strengthens the rhythm of action, making it easier to move from one responsibility to the next. By focusing on one small victory instead of the entire workload, productivity becomes manageable and sustainable. This approach transforms mornings from stressful to empowering. When the first hour is won, procrastination loses its influence, and the rest of the day moves forward with clarity, confidence, and control. Procrastination gains strength when a person's future feels unclear and disconnected from their daily actions. When there is no strong sense of direction, the mind focuses on avoiding discomfort rather than pursuing growth. In contrast, when individuals have a clear understanding of who they are becoming, their actions begin to align naturally with that vision. Purpose gives meaning to effort, and meaning reduces resistance. Identity plays a powerful role in behavior. People consistently act in ways that match how they see themselves. If someone identifies as unfocused or inconsistent, procrastination feels normal. However, when a person begins to see themselves as disciplined, responsible, and growth-oriented, delay feels out of place. This shift does not happen overnight, but it begins with conscious reminders and repeated actions that reinforce a new self-image. Focusing on identity changes the nature of discipline. Instead of forcing behavior through willpower, actions become expressions of values and standards. A person who identifies as reliable does not ask whether they feel like starting, they start, because it aligns with who they are. This reduces inner conflict and emotional resistance. Discipline becomes simpler when it is rooted in identity rather than pressure. Daily reflection strengthens this process. Taking a few moments each morning to recall personal values, long-term goals, and desired character traits reconnects the present moment to the future vision. This practice shifts attention away from short-term discomfort and toward long-term growth. When the mind is anchored in purpose, distractions lose their appeal and procrastination weakens. Identity-based thinking also builds resilience. When challenges arise, individuals who focus on who they are becoming are less likely to quit. They understand that effort is part of the process, not a sign of failure. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities to reinforce character. Each disciplined action becomes a vote for the person they are committed to becoming. Over time, repeated alignment between actions and identity strengthens self-trust. Confidence grows because behavior consistently matches intention. Procrastination, which thrives on doubt and avoidance, struggles to survive in this environment. The individual no longer acts to escape discomfort, but to honor their values and standards. By shifting focus from what is being avoided to who is being built, daily actions gain purpose. This approach replaces fear with direction and hesitation with commitment. When identity leads behavior, discipline becomes natural, progress becomes consistent, and procrastination fades as purposeful living takes its place. Simplicity is often underestimated. Yet it is one of the most powerful tools for change. Many people fail to improve their habits because they try to transform everything at once. They overload their mornings with complex routines, unrealistic expectations, and too many rules. This creates pressure, and pressure leads to avoidance. Sustainable progress does not come from doing more. It comes from doing what is necessary consistently. When habits are simple, they are easier to repeat. And repetition is what creates lasting change. Consistency builds results not through intensity, but through reliability. Small actions, when performed daily, reshape behavior and mindset. The human brain responds better to repetition than to occasional bursts of effort. When a habit is simple enough to be maintained even on difficult days, it becomes part of daily life rather than a temporary challenge. This is how discipline is formed, not through force, but through rhythm. Short-term commitment plays an important role in breaking procrastination. Focusing on a manageable time frame, such as 5 days, reduces mental resistance. The task feels achievable and the mind is more willing to cooperate. Once momentum is built, continuation becomes easier. The goal is not perfection, but participation. Showing up consistently, even in small ways, strengthens self-belief and weakens the habit of delay. Simple habits also reduce decision fatigue. When actions are predictable and structured, the mind conserves energy. This clarity allows focus to shift from deciding what to do to actually doing it. Over time, these repeated actions become automatic. What once required effort begins to require less thought, and procrastination loses its influence as behavior becomes routine. Consistency also reinforces identity. Each day a habit is completed, it reinforces the belief that progress is possible and within control. This creates a positive feedback loop. Action builds confidence, and confidence encourages action. Even small improvements compound, leading to noticeable changes in focus, discipline, and productivity. By committing to simple habits and repeating them consistently, individuals create stability in their mornings and clarity in their actions. Progress becomes predictable, and procrastination no longer dominates decision-making. When simplicity guides behavior and consistency guides effort, improvement becomes inevitable. Over time, these small daily actions build a strong foundation for long-term success and personal growth. When viewed together, these ideas reveal a simple but powerful truth. Procrastination is not defeated by force, pressure, or sudden bursts of motivation. It is overcome through clarity, consistency, and conscious self-direction. Managing the morning with intention sets the foundation for the entire day, while firm decisions remove hesitation and protect focus. Small early actions create momentum, and momentum turns effort into progress. When behavior aligns with identity and purpose, discipline no longer feels like a struggle. It becomes a natural expression of who a person is becoming. The power of simplicity ties everything together. Lasting change does not require dramatic routines or extreme discipline, but steady, repeatable actions that build confidence over time. Each small commitment kept strengthens self-trust and weakens the habit of delay. As mornings become structured and purposeful, procrastination gradually loses its influence. What remains is clarity, control, and a sense of direction that carries through every area of life. Ultimately, progress is the result of daily choices made with intention. When individuals choose to manage themselves, honor their decisions, and act in alignment with their values, productivity becomes consistent and growth becomes inevitable. Success is not created in a single moment of inspiration, but in the quiet discipline of ordinary mornings, repeated day after day.